I don't think anything brings me more joy than my book collection. Each one holds the weight of 1,000 ideas: woodworking, craft, design, and handmade objects in all their forms. They're not just pages and pictures, they're sparks. Sparks that ignite the fire within me and shape me who I am as a maker and artist. Without them, I wouldn't think the way I think or create the way I create. Today, I want to show you what they mean to me. Maybe you'll find a little something for yourself too. And this video is brought to us by Squarespace. Check it. There's over 500 books here, and after this video, we're gonna be closer to 600. I'm gonna show you how I collect these old books and where to find good deals. This is the book that started it all. Years ago, when I first got into woodworking, my very first craft show, there was a booth set up next to me, and this person was using this book as a prop to sell her crafts. I saw this and just fell in love with it. I went to school for graphic design, so I had this connection with colors and typography. And I was telling my wife, Kelly, I was like, I really want that book. After the craft show, Kelly surprised me by giving me this book that wasn't for sale. She figured out how to buy it from that person. At that time, I had a few books, but I wasn't a collector. This started it all. This is what started my obsession with collecting old books. Most of them are woodworking books, and within woodworking, there's a few different categories. There's the general woodworking information book. There's books about specific tools and techniques. And then there are project-based books, and these are my favorite woodworking books. Outside of woodworking books, I also collect art books and any kind of craft books. There's a general theme with all of the books that I have, and it's about creativity and the celebration of making. One of the things that I love about the book is just the general vibe it brings into the office. When you walk in here, you're hit with hundreds of books, and it's the first thing that you look at. Unless you're a musician, then you might be distracted by the instruments, but the general vibe that it brings to the office just brings me this inner peace. I just love being surrounded by old books. There's no standard size when it comes to books, so they come in all different shapes and sizes. Some fit on the shelf, some don't fit on the shelf. They all have different thicknesses and use different typographies, but when you put them all together, there's this beautiful chaos and vibe that it brings to the room. I just love it. It makes me feel so good when I walk in here. Mostly what I have is used books, and there's a history and story behind these books. I love it when I get a book and I open it up and there's a library card in there, and you can see all the times people have checked out that book. You know, there's so many stories attached to that book. And every once in a while, I'll get a used book and there's a handwritten note on the first page saying happy birthday or Merry Christmas, or I hope you find something inspiring in this book. That just warms my heart. I want to know the story behind that gift that that person got. Why did they give it up? Did they pass away? Did they want to transfer that information on to somebody else and donated the book? What's the story? What happened to you? What happened to you, Fred? This particular book right here has somebody's unscratched lotto ticket. I could be a millionaire right now and not even know it. I don't think I'll ever scratch it. Sometimes it's fun to not know. This book has somebody's 6th grade report card in there. Ooh, reading 77%, spelling 90%, way better than I'd ever do. Arithmetic 79%. Could do a little better there, Richard. Could do a little better. I do buy new books every once in a while when it's something that I want, but there's a thrill in the hunt of finding the perfect old book. I just love that. Anybody who reads fiction books will tell you that that book takes them to a time and place that they've never been. Nonfiction books, like woodworking books, do the same for me, especially if they were written before I was born. It just puts me in a different mindset and helps me understand how things used to be made. Now, all the furniture that we get, not all the furniture, but a lot of the furniture that we get is the knockdown furniture from Target or IKEA. and seeing how people used to do joinery is really inspiring to me. Like I mentioned earlier, my favorite woodworking project books are ones from the 70s. Maybe the 70s designs don't fit in today's world, but I can bring an element from one project, mix it with an element from another project, and make it my own. I absolutely love 70s projects books. Off camera, I was telling Daniel that I was looking for a Sunset book. They're my favorite publisher from back in the 70s. And he was like, "You have a favorite publisher from the 70s? Maybe you need help, Pachuto." And maybe I do, but these Sunset books, they are pure gold when it comes to projects. Look at that stereo stand on there. How freaking cool is that? I just crapped on 70s projects, but that one's a really cool one. Look at this. That's a freaking sweet chair. In the 10 years that I've been making woodworking videos and 13 years of doing woodworking in general, I have only twice made projects from books. Once I made a wiener dog tie rack from an old book, and then most recently I made a chair without any tools. I don't get the project books so I can build that particular thing step by step. I get them so I can get inspiration. Like I love the angled front here. I could use that in a project. Maybe I am making a new book rack because I'm almost out of space. Maybe I angle it like that. So much information, so much inspiration in old books. Outside of woodworking books, my favorite books are art books, especially collections of things. So this one is 1,000 Lamps. A lamp can be unique and beautiful by itself, but when you take that lamp and you add it to 999 other lamps, it elevates the value of what that object is. And to see it in context compared to other pieces just brings me so much inspiration. So I love books that are collections. So I've got 1,000 lights, 1,000 chairs, 50 metal vessels, 50 paper objects, 400 wood boxes. I just love the collection. It's super, super rare to find these books used. So generally you have to buy them new. And they're kind of expensive because they have, hundreds of color photos, but to me, they're worth it. Where do I find my used books? My favorite place in the world to hunt for books is the thrift store. I love that font. Salvation Army, Goodwill, your local thrift store. That's where you're gonna find the cheapest books. Most of the time, thrift stores sell books for $1 to $2, which is insanely cheap for all of the information and inspiration that you can get from these books. This particular bookstore is a Goodwill bookstore, so it's a Goodwill that only sells used books. It's a little bit more expensive than a normal Goodwill. Books are anywhere from $2 to $5, but great hunting grounds. Look at that. I don't normally collect magazines, but when they're in a binder form, this is amazing. That was a good haul. 38 bucks and we got a huge stack of books. Thrift store is my absolute favorite place to get books. Nice and cheap, good hunting grounds for books. Next are used bookstores. Most of the time, these used bookstores, they're independent, so you're supporting local business. A lot of times you can find a whole bunch of books, but a used bookstore generally sells for more than what you're gonna find at the thrift store. So maybe books are $5 a piece. So if you find 20 books, maybe you gotta pick and choose which ones that you want. But the great thing about used bookstores is they're a little bit more organized. You're gonna find all the craft books and all the woodworking books and all the art books in one section. It's like hunting fish in a barrel. They're all just right there, easy pickings. We got a good one. So this one costs a little bit more, but we're supporting a local independent bookstore. And we got some good ones. Manual Guide to Veneering, Master Woodworker, Shop-Made Jigs. These are amazing for jig projects. The hand plane book. This one I'm really excited about. Portable furniture. There's some crazy stuff in here. Great inspiration in there. Furniture projects you can build. I love these old 70s books. Another one I'm super excited about, mid-century collectibles. Y'all know I love the mid-century stuff. And then finally, Sunset makes some amazing classic like 60s and 70s books, wall systems, and shelving. $59.80. But I'm supporting local and I got some good ones. All right, next. And then there are antique malls and antique stores. I go to antique malls all the time just to look for inspiration in general. And usually there's a bunch of booths with a whole bunch of books. The problem with antique malls, it's a lot more pricey than going to a thrift store or a used bookstore. You'll see prices like 15, 20 bucks on old textbooks. So you gotta be picky and choosy. A lot of times you don't walk away with a lot. Sometimes you do, it depends. Finishing book, a workshop planner book. I'm excited about that one. Another wood finishing book, a wood turning book, making built-in cabinets, using the table saw and outdoor furniture, totaling $16.70. That is a good haul right there. We also went to my local library, the closest branch to my home. Check this out. That's me. That's me in the library. In the library. I should sign it. Last stop of the day, we went to the library, which they had some books for sale. I found this wood jewelry one and it was $1. And I said, hey, I don't have any cash on me. Can you take a card? And they said, yes, we can, but you're just grabbing one book so you could have it. So I got this book for free. Thank you to the Toledo Public Library. Shout out to the Sager branch. I did not know about this until I started filming this video. I posted on Facebook, hey, where are local places that you go to get used books? And my buddy Evan said, the library has a place where they just sell books. I didn't even know that this existed. It's just a large used bookstore. And so if you're a member, you can shop there once a week. If you're a non-member, there's like 4 times a year that you can go there. I found too many books. So many books that I didn't even buy them all. I got this Measure Twice, Cut Once, Norm Abrams, and I love books that have, it says Merry Christmas inside. Maybe they didn't like their Christmas gift, cabinet making and millwork. I got the complete book of woodworking. If you have the complete book of woodworking, do you need any other book? Another Norm Abram book, the New Yankee Workshop, Wood Magazine book, handmade, and cabinetry. $1 each with text, $7.54. There's so many great places around you to find used books. Just 50 minutes up north in Detroit, there's this massive, insanely large bookstore that everybody keeps telling me that I have to go to and I haven't been to yet. It's multiple floors. People said you're gonna have to spend a whole day there. So I am saving up that trip and saving up my wallet for that trip too. So plenty of places locally to find books. Generally, when I only walk away from one book while going thrift book hunting, that book has a memory attached to it. It means a little bit more because I will take that book, or maybe I only find 2 or 3, I'll take them and I'll flip through them when I get home that night or right away. And I remember the experience of finding those books. And I can then associate whether or not this is a good book or a bad book, or the good things about this book that I like, or I'm gonna put post-it notes on certain pages. When I walk away with 20 to 30 books, it's a little overwhelming to go through right away. So I don't go through them and they sit on the shelf and I don't have any kind of memory attached to them. So you might be disappointed when you only find one book, but you will always remember where you found that book. So many of these books, I know exactly where they came from because I had that memory associated with that book. And people have offered to give me their book collection, and sometimes I'll take it. Like I got this Popular Mechanics set up there, which is absolute gold. Getting somebody's book collection is just a little too overwhelming and doesn't have that, the thrill isn't there because you didn't go hunting for them. Somebody just gave them to you. So a lot of times I'll turn down big book hauls. One of the reasons I love collecting books is because they offer something personal, something thoughtful. Each one is its own world written with intention. And that is exactly what today's sponsor, Squarespace, helps you do online. Squarespace is the all-in-one platform to build a website that feels as handcrafted as the work you put into your own creations. Whether you're sharing your process, selling custom work, or building a digital library of ideas, Squarespace makes it easy to bring your ideas to life. With their drag and drop editor and beautifully designed templates, you don't need to be a designer to build something that reflects your style. And with features like email campaigns and member areas, you can turn that site into something more, a real connection with your audience. I've used Squarespace for over 10 years and I used to be a web developer, so that should say something. Squarespace has helped me run my creative business with ease. From selling plans to my projects to sending out newsletters, it's all in one place. So when you're ready to build something that's truly your own, head to squarespace.com for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/makesomething to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. All right, back to my bookshelf and potentially my next big idea. Organization. How do I organize my books? On the shelf here, it's not organized and it's all kind of random. I'm actually going to redo my office here this summer. This whole desk units and over here where I have all my synths and drum machines, and then around the corner over here where I have some random stuff, it's all going to get rebuilt into one big L shape. And I'm selling a bunch of music equipment and I'm downsizing to just the necessities. I'm trying to finalize all the instruments that I need, which if you're a musician, you know that that's impossible. There's always something new or something that comes along, but I'm really trying to finalize that because there's only so much space in my office. So I have my music stuff, I've got all my books, and I've got my camera collection, which is in the dozens. We're probably up to 200 cameras now, and there's only so much room. So I need to downsize and finalize. So once I figure out what my final instrument situation is going to be, I'm then going to rebuild all of this and then build a little bit more storage for books. Once I fill that up, I have no idea what I'm going to do, but one problem at a time. So up on the shelf, they are not organized, but every book is scanned into an app called BookBuddy. This app is amazing for book collectors. Let me show you. So here on BookBuddy, I have all of my books, and this helps me determine if I have a particular book when I'm out hunting, so I don't have duplicates. And the great thing about this app is you can scan barcodes or input the ISBN number on there, and then each book has a photo associated with it. Sometimes it'll pull that photo from the internet, but I always retake the photo and then add it myself because covers are different. And so within this app, I then categorize my books. I make up my own categories. It will try to categorize them for you, but it calls all woodworking books crafts. And so I add my own. So I have architecture, I have art, I have general woodworking, I have design. And so this way I can see all of my books by my own categories. Even within woodworking, I have a different category for wood turning because there's a whole, I see wood turning as its own thing. And then I can also sort by year, so I can see what my oldest book is or my newest book. This app is fantastic for my book organization. So when we redo the office here, I will have everything sectioned off and maybe little dividers and shelf labels. BookBuddy. You need this app if you collect books. I also have some magazines, but I much prefer books. I subscribe to a few woodworking magazines just because I want to know what's new and what's hot. But generally, when I see collections of magazines at garage sales and stuff, I'll just let them be, because you can't really tell what's in them by looking at the spine. So my magazines aren't even out on display. They're in a cabinet below where you can't even see them. I think what separates me from everybody else is I get my inspiration and information from books, where everybody else may be getting their information from the internet. And it's a little too easy to get the information from the internet. With the book, you got to put in a little bit more effort. And I think because you are putting in a little bit more effort, it's a little bit more memorable. When I am on the computer reading something, the information that I'm taking in generally goes into temporary storage. But something about having a physical book in my hand, it stores it in my permanent hard drive. When I have a book, everything slows down. It has my full attention. When I'm on the computer, there are so many other things that's fighting for my attention. Pop-up ads, social media, the next video on YouTube is trying to fight for my attention, and then you're just easily distracted. But when you have a book, everything is just nice and slow, and it's right there. I think because it is a physical thing that you can touch, see, smell, and feel, I think all of those things add to the input that you're getting from them, which helps store it in your permanent brain. So if you're getting your inspiration from the internet, that means algorithms are providing you what they think you need to see. Whether you're going to Pinterest or Instagram or YouTube, that stream, that feed is all algorithm based. Maybe they printed 20,000 copies of this book and 20,000 people got this book, but that was 40 to 50 years ago. There's not tens of thousands of people reading this book now. Just me. I'm the only one getting inspiration from this book right now. As a lover of books, I have had the honor of writing 3 books myself. My first book was the new bandsaw box book, then was the Make Your Own Kitchen Tools book, and then my most recent one is Make Your Own Cutting Boards. And at the time that I wrote this, this was the very first cutting board book out there, and it might still be the only one. So as someone who has written books, I appreciate the effort and time it takes to go into these books. I trust the information in a book much greater than the information that I'll find in a YouTube video. I have no idea how much research that person put into that YouTube video. Do they know what they're doing? Are they doing it safe? I know when I pick up a book, multiple people contributed to a book. So I came up with these projects. The publisher went through and proofed everything and made sure that we were doing everything correctly in the safe way and providing all the good information. I don't have any immediate plans to write another book, at least for right now. And when it comes time to do another book, it's probably not going to be project-based or not simple projects like this. It might be more art-based or where creativity comes from. I have been reading research papers and collecting notes on where creativity comes from and how to be more creative, with the intent of someday writing a book. But I don't know if that will ever happen, but I am collecting notes and thoughts right now. And the reason that that book might take years to make is because I've come up with some exercises that will actually take years of data input. So like one of the exercises would be, if you are not a comic artist, but you forced yourself to write a 1-cell comic every day, and you did that for 2 years, you're going to see the progression in how much better you got at drawing and how much better you got at writing a 1-cell story, and or if you're trying to be funny, how much funnier you got over the years. I think creativity is a muscle that you that you train and you flex, and it just gets better over time. And there's a couple other experiments that I want to do. It's just going to take a long time. Each one of these books took over a year from my very first note to it being published. Takes a lot of time. So I really, really respect authors who write books. I am lucky enough to work with a publisher, and basically how it works is every time you write a new book, you get a new contract, and within that contract, it says the publisher has first rights to your next work of art, which would be a book. And that is very, very common. That's just how book publishing contracts go. So that publisher has first refusal rights. So I might write another book, and if they're like, yep, let's put that out, we will. If they say no, then I have the option to self-publish or take that book to another publisher. But that is a long ways down the road. Right now, I just want to focus more on getting better at creativity and being a maker. So as far as books that you read, typically I listen to audiobooks. I love audiobooks. Every once in a while, I come across a book that is so good and so life-changing that I buy the physical form so I can reread it again. And I have 3 books that I read back to back to back that it just completely rewired my brain and changed the way I approach my videos. The first one was The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. Then there was The Practice by Seth Godin. And then David Lynch, Catching the Big Fish. I don't know how the stars aligned or what happened in the universe for me to read these 3 books back to back to back, but it completely changed who I am and how I approach woodworking. So these books are about creating art and just a creation in general. And after I read these books, I decided to make a huge change in these videos. And you may have noticed that. I read these books about a year or so ago. And then 6 to 8 months ago, I started making videos for me, and instead of videos for the algorithm or an audience. So if you go back in my back catalog, right before I read these books, I was making videos like I bought every Facebook ad that I saw, or I bought all the Wen tools. I bought the most expensive tools on Banggood. And those videos did insanely well. We're talking millions of views. I could keep making those videos and keep getting millions of views, but they didn't fulfill me. And they're really easy videos to make. You spend a bunch of money up front, you get 1 million views, you get all that money right back. But it was like eating a candy bar. It's not good for you. It's not substance. It's just pure entertainment. And so after reading these books, I decided I no longer care about algorithms, and I want to make things that I want to make. And so sometimes that doesn't translate to what the audience wants to see, but I feel better about what I'm making, and I'm trying to be more creative. And I think creativity can be taught, and that is my main focus right now. If I make videos and projects for myself, I think there's a good audience that will tag along and learn something and get enjoyment and entertainment out of there. So if you have noticed a huge change in the style of my videos over the last 6 months, you can blame these 3 books right here. My ultimate goal is to be an actual artist someday with gallery shows. I would say the last 10 videos that I've made are the best videos I have ever made, and the most fulfilling and rewarding videos I have ever made. You can blame Rick Rubin. This is basically my Bible right here. I have a lot of notes inside the book. So I listen to the audiobook, and then I get the physical book, and I reread them and take notes. This Rick Rubin book is my favorite book of all time. It is so dense with information that I will continue to reread this book for the rest of my life and get something new out of it. So if I just pull one of my random notes, What you make doesn't have to be witnessed, recorded, sold, or encased in glass for it to be a work of art. That speaks to me. Maybe that doesn't speak to you, but that speaks to me. If you have an idea you're excited about and you don't bring it to life, it's not uncommon for the idea to find its voice through another maker. How many times have you come up with the brilliant idea, but you sat on it too long and somebody else executed on that idea? That is because that idea is floating out there. And as David Lynch would say, you caught the idea, you hooked the idea, but you didn't reel it in. Because you didn't reel it in, that idea floated out and somebody else caught it. I'm not joking, people. Changed my freaking life. The effort it takes to find inspiration in an old book is far greater than the effort it takes to find inspiration on the internet. But I think the payoff with an old book is far greater. Like I mentioned before, it sits in your permanent hard drive. Books connect us to a history of craftsmanship and deeper creative thinking. Collecting books is more than just owning them. It's about a deeper experience of having something physical in your hand and integrating this information and inspiration into my life and work. I am working on a new series to help you be more creative. I have kicked it off with these 10 creative hacks that I think are pretty mind-blowing. That is not clickbait. I do believe they are unique and mind-blowing and gonna help you be a better maker and designer. You can check that out here. That is gonna wrap it up. As always, be safe, have fun, stay passionate, and make something. I would like to thank my top patrons this month: Ron from Gnomeworks, Jim from Wiser Bees, Jason Ramos, and Jonathan Ransom. I had a cheat sheet. All right, love you. Read something, collect something, have a passion about something.